What is up, survivors? We are back again for another mod review, and this about finishes out the last mod that we were doing, well, the mod review we wanted to do for our community server, and that is the Crystal Isles Dino Edition mod. Now, essentially what this mod does is it adds all the creatures that were originally in Crystal Isles back when it was a modded map before it kind of got taken into the fold here. There's a long list of creatures. We're going to go over everything. We got a lot to go over, and there's so much cool stuff in here. So you're going to get a couple different types of creatures in general. You're going to have crystal creatures, which is kind of like from here, even all the way out to here. And then you're going to have a couple other Ember. You're going to have liquefied, and you're going to have one that kind of just stands out as its own. But anyway, so let's kind of go over everything that we can kind of all the way around the loop here. So these creatures are going to spawn on the map. They're going to be tameable, and we'll talk about all that good stuff. Now, we have the Crystal Megasalon, which all these are going to be reskinned to actually have like crystal deposits on them and stuff like this. And this guy will actually grow crystals on his back instead of flowers and mushrooms like typically the crystal creature or the normal Megasalon does. Outside of that, it pretty much works like a normal Megasalon with the exception of it not having a gender, so you can't actually breed those guys, which is a little bit of a bummer. But yeah, pretty much the same thing you would expect out of Megasalon. We have the Limantria, the moth over here, and this cool little crystals coming off the head. You know, there's definitely different changing colors, right? There's definitely a changing color to these guys as well. So we have the moth, we have the anklo, which might be one of my favorites. This like melted crystal sort of look, and the tail looks absolutely phenomenal on this dude. We have the Crystalgriffin, which predominantly come in these colors. It's pretty much the colors you're going to see it in. It has the crystals on its head. We have the Crystal Fairy. See if we can get a better look at you. And these are going to be typically just crystals all along its back and tail, a little bit on its head. Makes them look a little bit better, in my opinion. The Crystalmagnusor, not too much different other than the addition of all the like the red crystals on its back and whatnot. The Crystal Mammoth, which I really like because it's got the cool little ones on the tusks here, but then it also has like this almost like glitter going on in its fur, which is pretty wild. The Crystalpariser, which seems to be like the skin looks almost like X-Paraser, but then it also has the crystals outlying on top of skins. Is a pretty common theme, right? You have your Crystal Rock Drake, which again, crystals predominantly you're going to see these guys in this color scheme as well. It's not going to change too much. It's going to be a variation of these colors that you're looking at. We have the Crystal Snow Owl. Again, you're going to see these in the same general color scheme as well. And you have the Crystal Dionychus, which kind of, why'd you perk your head up as soon as I said your name? It kind of weirds me out a little bit. One of my favorites actually is this Crystal Basilisk, and the reason why is not only are there crystals back here, but there's like mushrooms growing out the back of them and everything. It's pretty wild. The Crystal Stig, which is basically kind of like a Packy. It actually uses the Packy saddle to ride it. But yeah, we got him out here too. A couple little guys. We have Otters. We have Crystal Otters. Now, there's two different versions of Otters. We have one that has the crystals on its spine, and then you also have a crowned otter that actually has them on top of its head like a little crown. These guys are an anomaly to me. I found them. They're crystal whelps. You tame them, and they can fly around and follow you around. You can pet them, and they give you like a little heart icon. See that little heart icon in the top left? I don't understand what it does, and I can't seem to figure it out. I don't know, maybe somebody can explain that one to me. They look adorable, and I thought it would be some sort of buff, but I really can't figure out what it actually does. The eyeballs change color, and they would look adorable. They look awesome. I have a couple of them, and I love them, but I don't really know what they're for. And that's kind of the crystal that's the crystal creatures, and you're going to see all those all over the map, typically where you would find the normal counterparts, but we're going to put a link to the workshop in the description of the video so you can check them out, and they actually have a couple of links where you can actually see a spawn map of where these guys spawn at, but they pretty much spawn where you think they spawn. The Megasalons are going to spawn actually out here in the White Shores. The Limantria are going to be out in the floating islands and then in the desert. The anklos are going to be where you normally find anklos at, plus up in the ice area. Griffins are going to be in the Griffin Trench. Theries are going to be with the rest of the Theries. Magnusor by the volcano. Mammoths out in the cold area. Parachutes down here in the White Shores, plus over in the desert. Otters, there's a couple little lakes where the otters are at. These guys are by the rainbows and the floating isles, by the ruins of the floating isles is where you'll see them flying around. These guys will be in the rock drake nest. You'll be up in the cold area. These guys will kind of be sporadically around in the mid, like not quite mountainy plains, foresty areas. They're kind of all over the place, to be honest with you. Basilisk, you guys usually show up out in the bog and in the swamp, but periodically I do see you out there in the desert. Stigs usually they hang out same place you're going to see Packies at, so the spawning isn't too terribly different. Moving on, we have the Ember guys. We can talk about this guy as well. So the Embertross, they call it the Embertross, but by all accounts it's a phoenix. It's a phoenix that you can put a saddle on, right? It's a phoenix that you can put a saddle on, and it's a special Crystal Isles mod saddle, and we'll show you how to make any of those saddles that you might need. But it's a phoenix, so I mean it's going to tame a little bit differently, but it's a phoenix. So coming over here, we have the Ember Yudi, which is essentially what a Yudi is, but it has some fire damage, and then it also has the ability to scare off things that a normal Yudi would not be able to scare off. We have a Pegasus, which is a winged unicorn. This guy flies around, it can set stuff on fire, and you can put an Equus saddle on top of it to do everything that a normal Equus does on top of it. Both of these are going to be in the volcano area. All three of these. They're going to be in the volcano area. You're going to see them around in that general vicinity. So, Liquified Creatures. These guys are like skeleton versions. Now, they're a little bit different because typically they just eat spoiled meat. You can tame them with spoiled meat, and then also another item that we'll talk about. But you're going to see all these guys in the Eldritch Island where all the Eldritch storms are going off of. That's where you're going to see these guys. So we have a bunch of different variants. We have a Liquefied Trike. We have a Liquefied Stego. We got a Liquefied Wyvern in the back. I'm going to talk about you later. We got a Liquefied Giga. Hey, how you doing there, buddy? Liquefied Griffin, Thylacoleo, and a Brontosaurus. You know what? I forgot to put in the Spino. There's a Spino as well. Just imagine like, I don't know, like a smaller version of that guy with a sail on his back. That's pretty much what we're looking at. Whoa, hey, how you doing? One that really stood out to me is the Liquefied Indominus Rex. That's right, it's an Indominus Rex. So this guy, I mean, all these other guys kind of function how they would normally function. They just eat different things than they normally would, and you tame them a little bit differently. But this guy actually has active camouflage. He has active camouflage that the Rock Drake has, and he has a surprise hit. When he comes out of this active camo and hits something, he does exponential damage so long as you're not detected, which makes these things pretty vicious. They're absolutely crazy. They get a roar, they get everything. Pretty awesome. So obviously we're going to have some items to talk about too. First and foremost, we're going to have this awesome little bench to use, and inside this bench is a couple of the items that you're going to be able to make, along with a couple of the saddles. So this is where you're going to find the Indominus Rex saddle, the Embertross saddle, and then also the Crystal Dino saddle. So everything else that has a saddle on it uses its normal counterpart saddle. So the Dinichus, the Embertross, and the Indominus are the only ones that have special saddles. All these other ones are going to use saddles that their current counterpart already uses. And like I said, the Stig will actually use the Pachyrhino saddle. The Pegasus will use the Equus saddle. That's pretty much it. Anyway, so back into here, you're going to use crystals to tame a lot of these guys. For the most cases. Now you're going to have a couple different types of crystals here. The better the crystal, the better to tame. And it costs crystals to make these. So rough crystals, you're going to put crystal in to get rough crystal. You can use that rough crystal to make refined crystal. You can use rough crystal to make pure crystals, or prime crystals, or faceted crystals. Like all the different crystals do different things, and they work a little bit differently than one another. And then these briar thorns are actually used as kind of the taming thing for the liquefied creatures, is essentially what's going on here. So it's not too terribly complicated. It's a little bit more added work, and a lot of these guys do have little niches to them that their counterparts don't normally have. But there's a long list of creatures that come out here. I love this mod happening on Crystal Isles. It adds so much more character out to the map, and some creatures that we either we've never seen, we don't get to play with very often, like an Indominus Rex, or things like that, or this awesome little crystal whelp that I can't seem to figure out, and it's driving me crazy. You're like a little anomaly. You're an adorable little anomaly, and I have to know what you do. I'm gonna find out. But anyway, these guys pretty much work like they normally do. It's not too terribly different. I will say, if you're running this mod and you're running other mods in conjunction with it, you might see slight differences between the crystal creatures and then their obvious counterparts. Like for instance, we typically run Kraken's Better Dinos and let's say for instance the Basilisk here. So in the Kraken Better Dinos mod, this guy actually has the Alpha Predator role, so a lot of the smaller creatures leave him alone and don't come after him. The Crystal one will not, and they'll come after it. Let's say you have something like KBD that increases the flight speed on your flyers. Well, they will work on your flyers, but you won't be able to convert the Crystal Dinos over to speed flyers, so you won't be able to change that either. You know, now with KBD you can use Valerian Range or something like that, but if you have any sort of like speed mod things, you want to make clear that it is working with this. This mod does stack with simple spawners, so you can be able to change certain spawn codes up and where they're at. And again, we'll have the link in the description of the video to their Steam Workshop, so you can check all that out as well. But this is a pretty sizable amount of creatures that get added in here. And it just, I don't know, definitely brings new life, and they're colored great. They look amazing, and having a lot of fun seeing them hanging around. We get a lot of these guys, and then we have the Cross Genesis mod going, so we get to see, you know, Parisers, Crystal Parisers, X Parisers. You get to see a little bit of everything, and I'm really enjoying it. The other thing to note is that there will be Liquefied Raptors, there will be Liquefied Alpha Raptors, there will be Liquefied Alpha T-Rexes, and Liquefied Alpha Wyverns. You will see those guys flying around. They'll be liquefied, but then there'll be alphas on top of it. So definitely pay attention to that, because those guys are mean as hell. But yeah, you'll see all these guys only on the Eldritch Islands, and then all these guys is pretty self-explanatory where you're gonna find them at. I don't know, if I had to pick a favorite, man. I was thinking about that when I spawned these in. I don't know. If I had to pick a favorite, it's hard. It's really hard. It's really hard. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, my heart's with the Rock Drake. I do love a good Rock Drake, but I mean, I have a little Rock Drake, and then I have the little whelp on my shoulder while I'm on the Rock. Can I have two? Can we do that? Can I pick two? I'll pick you and you. You both come with me. That's how that'll go. But there are a couple of other things. Like I said, you'll have the Spino, you'll see T-Rexes out there, and I actually forgot about the Liquefied Raptors. They're actually out there periodically as well. It's a long list of creatures, so I highly suggest you check the Steam Workshop out with all the different abilities and taming methods and all that goofball stuff. But super fun, super cool, adds a lot of fun stuff, and definitely worth it in my book. That's about it, guys. Thanks for watching, thanks for hanging out, and I will definitely see you guys next time.